that there's misconceptions in the industry about what piracy is, right? You know, there's assumption that what is piracy? Piracy is about people who want to steal stuff from you, right? That they don't want to pay any money and they want to get your content. But when you look at the fact that these people have, you know, $2,000 PCs and you know, they're spending $50 a month US more on their internet connections, clearly they're willing to spend money. So from our point of view, what we saw more and more is that piracy is the result of bad service on the part of game companies. So it really is a question of viewing yourself as, how can you provide the best possible service to your customers? And pricing really is one of the less important aspects of that whole equation. People are happy to pay money if they're getting what they perceive as a great product delivered on their terms.
Gabe Newell. This statement perfectly expresses how I feel about piracy. And the part where he says, you know, piracy is a result of bad service on the part of game companies. And this is not the initial reason of why I started pirating. But it expresses them now. And let's just go over the points of the types of pirates that are out there. You have the unfortunate pirate. They pirate because there's simply no other means for them to obtain the games. Like, example, let's say you live in China or Australia and there's heavy censorship out there, and they're like, yeah, you're not going to sell that game in our country. And as a citizen of that country, you have no access to this game, and your only alternative is piracy. You have the political pirate. They pirate because they have a score to settle with a company. They don't believe in certain practices with the game. They don't believe in how the game is implemented, but they still want to participate in the game, but they don't want to support it financially. And then you have the simple pirate, the pirate that pirates just because he can. They don't care about the developer or the games industry. They were never going to purchase your product in the first place. And I've been seeing this topic discussed quite a bit on YouTube as of late. And I've been meaning to make a video on this topic, so I thought I'd just give my 2 cents. A topic that's not really recovered in a lot of the videos that I've seen is the morality of it. The morality of piracy. It's wrong. It's wrong to steal from someone. It's wrong to get something for free and not pay for it. And the examples they use are so ludicrous, like it's so hardcore, like they equate piracy with the crime of you know, stealing a car or murder. And they put up these really hard examples of what piracy is. And I remember I was watching this kid's video on piracy, and no one there really put up their points, and I was just explaining that piracy is just ones and zeros in the digital age we live in. A copy of something. Nothing is taken from anybody. Just because you pirated doesn't mean you were going to purchase. It's not lost revenue. It is illegal to protect whose intellectual property? Whose money have you potentially taken? It's just a system trying to regain control of power that was lost with the internet. You know, I see this argument all the time on YouTube, you know, how could you take away from somebody's living? How could you take away from this developer's blood, sweat, and tears? They put years into this game, and you just took their content for nothing. No, I didn't. I downloaded a copy of their content that is not authorized on the way that they sell it through a platform. They don't make any money off it because it's unauthorized. All I did was take a copy. I didn't take anything from that developer. I didn't steal his code. I didn't take the game from their office. I didn't take anything. It's a digital copy of their work. And the real issue with piracy is the fact that it doesn't it goes against capitalism. It's the fact that you're able to obtain the content and not pay for it. And you didn't go into a store and steal the content. You downloaded it off the internet. And I'm not advocating taking from someone's work, but I think the thing that's not discussed is how it filters down from the top down. The publisher paid for the advertisement. The publisher paid for this developer to work on the game. The publisher gets the main cut from the sales. And even after that, we go to distribution, and it costs 30% or thereabouts to put your game on a platform. So if your title costs $80 just to put it on Steam or Xbox Live or PlayStation Network, that company is going to take 30% of your sales just so you can sell it on their platform. And it just filters down. Even like with physical copies, the retailers are taking a certain percentage of the game. And do you really think that within the company of say like a developer of like Bungie, that each developer who works for Bungie has royalties to the copy of the game? You know what filters down even within that company. You have the people on the top who get a nice cut of the royalties, and the people at the bottom who may not see anything from the royalties. So it's not like, you know, when I pirated your game, I'm not allowing you to eat. You've already been paid for the work to develop the game, and you're counting a few of the people within the developer company are getting royalties from the game, and it's just a small piece of that $80 after it's chopped up and it filters down the line. Another thing too is like is the morality. You see a lot of people give their own 2 cents about it. Like I believe if you're the unfortunate pirate and you don't have access to the game, I believe it's okay to pirate. You didn't have access to the game. It wasn't going to be sold in your country. They couldn't make a monetary gain off you anyways. Nothing was stolen. But here's that gray area where it's like, it's not really frowned upon if a man is stealing because he's starving and he can't afford to eat. It's a basic necessity that he needs to eat. Yes, he's doing wrong but stealing, but yeah, he needs this. Now, the same can't be said for gaming. It's a luxury. You can live without gaming. You were born. It's not required for any type of living at all. But my point is the fact of people go into that gray area where I believe either you're for it or you're against it. Now, there's no debate about it that piracy is stealing, as it were. And how could you be for piracy for demoing, but you're against piracy in the long run because it hurts the developer? And just, you know, it's not always that case. You know, you have the indie developers with this one person who worked on it as a passion project, and he gets all the sales. Like, you can't step on that one person who's trying to make a living like this. And it's just the morality of the person. I personally I'm all for the political pirate. Things in gaming have gone to shit as far as microtransactions, DLC, always online DRM, and people, paying customers are suffering as a result of this. Like, here's a small annoyance. When I bought Diablo 3, I asked the guys at EB Games, do I have to be online for this? They said no. And this is the one game where you had to be online. And it wasn't really a problem, but, you know, if you ever played Diablo, it's a lot of... You'll go through a whole stage in Diablo 3, and you spend 2-3 hours going through this dungeon, and you have to spend a certain amount of time till you get to a checkpoint. If you get tired of the game and you log out or you stop playing before you get to the checkpoint, none of your progress is saved. You have to play this game till you get to a checkpoint, or you lose all the progress that you've made up until that point. Now, I bought Diablo 3. I was a paying customer. Why should I have to suffer like this? And a lot of the times, it's not like that. You know, maybe you're in a country in the Middle East where you don't have access to the game, or you can't afford it, and you're playing the game and you pirated it, and you're young and you couldn't afford it. But then when you grow into your adulthood and you can afford it, you go back and purchase that game that you had experience with. That piracy led to a sale. That piracy would have never ended up in a sale if the person hadn't took your game without your authorization in the first place. And in my own case, when I learned about piracy, I was an adult. When I started to pirate, I was brand new to the PC market, and it was an amazing thing to me. But I don't participate the way that I used to back when I was in college, because there's an easier avenue. I have Steam sales, and if I don't have Steam sales, I have gray key sites, and I feel justified in not supporting the developer and possibly supporting this criminal who, by whatever means, obtained the key. But that person who obtained the key illegally wouldn't have access if that's not how the game industry operated. You know, you give out free keys to reviewers, you give out free keys to the press. You know, some of these people are going to turn around and profit off the way that things are. And at this point, I don't really care if my money gets to the developer. I'm fed up. I want things to change. I'm not so fed up that I'm gonna quit gaming altogether, but I'm just fed up. Like when it comes to like AAA games, unless it's a multiplayer where I can't participate in that game unless I buy it legally, and I want to play it, I would have pirated. But at this point in my life, it's more inconvenient for me to pirate than it is to buy it, either through the recognized vendors or the unauthorized ones. I don't care whichever one gives me the better value, I will support. I'm just hearing myself talk, and it's like I can imagine how hard it would be for someone to identify with my point of view, but I believe that piracy can be a good thing, that it doesn't need to be eradicated, that it is a means for people to experience games. Like, one thing that crosses boundaries, like even if you don't speak the same language, and two common gamers meet from across the world, they have that common ground from gaming as an experience as a whole. Nobody should be denied that. I know it's not essential for living, but nobody should be denied that. We all live within the bubble and confines of our countries. We all have to earn money. We all have to do these things. And this is the one thing that as gamers we're all kind of passionate about. No one would deny another gamer another game. And the way that the industry is currently conducting itself, it's not reasonable. And hopefully it's not sustainable.